Wholeness, beautiful beings, welcome to Seeds of Silver Tree here. May this message find you well and whole. So today's topic is about celibacy, and it's probably going to be a little an unpopular opinion, but I just wanted to share some wisdom with you, and not get into too much of my personal experiences, but just to share this with you. Men and women need to heal first. What do I mean by this? As someone who is recovering from serial monogamy, and I'm taking an extensive, intentional separation from that way of life, because serial monogamy, okay, is something that I think is a kind of a hidden problem in our culture, in Western culture. And so personally, yes, I am celibate, and this is something I've practiced before in the past, but I'm in a very different season and cycle in my life right now, which, I debated going back and forth with, like, should I make it public? Should I put this out there? But it's just like the other day, I felt like God in my heart, spirit was telling me, my heart was telling me, just be real, be raw, be you, be true to you. There's nothing shameful about this practice. What I've noticed in my 35 years of experience in relationships and dating is that especially for those who are serial monogamous, you find yourself, it's like this never-ending cycle, this loop that you're in. It's like, okay, you commit yourself fully to a person, you give your heart, your body, your mind, your soul to a person, and they do the same as well. But what happens is that, again, there's an ending, right? Because there's always beginnings and middles and endings to things in our stories, in our narratives that we tend to live out in our lives. But this pattern I've noticed is like this infinity loop, right? It just keeps going and going and going. It never stops. And you find yourself beginning again with another person, and then there's a climax, there's a middle, and then it ends, and then you begin again with another person, and there's a climax and a middle and an end, and then it just keeps going and going. And if you pay attention and you find yourself with three, more than two people, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however, I'm not judging, but it's like you're the common denominator, like a fraction, okay? You're the common denominator. You are the weakest link, right? And so it's about pause, hit pause. If you notice that you're in this perpetual cycle where it seems like you're with different people, you're with different personalities, you're with different backgrounds and cultural differences and whatnot. You think that, oh, this is all brand new. It's not brand new. These are lessons that continue to take place, okay? And I think the beauty of marriage, I will say, even though it's based in a patriarchal setup, the beauty of marriage is that you choose to commit yourself to one person, and thus that means you're going to go through countless cycles and seasons and evolutions with that one person. But with serial monogamy is that when the going gets tough, or the tough gets going, and you gotta go, you gotta leave because it's toxic, or you've outgrown each other, or you're in danger, or it's just not healthy, or you're not compatible, you go your separate ways, okay? It's a natural human thing to do. You don't choose, you choose yourself over the other person, right? And so, your intention is pure, okay? Yeah, there might be a little, maybe a year or two, and then, the cycle continues again. But it's not a different person. It's just the same lesson that you haven't learned yet. And the lesson keeps giving. It keeps giving. And it's not just in our romantic relationships or partnerships or marriages, because people will get married several times too, and I don't get it. I don't get it. Multiple marriages, I just don't. And all due respect to my friends and family that tune into my videos and my messages, like, and they find themselves in their second or third or fourth or fifth marriage. Look, no judgment, but for me personally, in my personal perspective and my story and how I view things, it just doesn't make any sense. But regardless, my point is this: you don't only find these patterns, okay, unlearned lessons in your romantic relationships, but you also find it in certain careers or certain job setups. I've worked in multiple industries, and I will say there are certain lessons I've had to learn that would show up in a completely different job, in a completely different industry, with completely different environment and different pay, all of that, just for me to experience the same or a very similar lesson that I did in the previous job or previous industry. It's very, very interesting when you begin to break that patriarchal linear time frame, and you start to enter into the feminine cyclical way of perceiving energy, perceiving your life, perceiving stories and narratives and cycles in your life and patterns in your life, right? So I want to include men and women in this, because I know I'm making these videos on the patriarchy, and and maybe some of you will label me as a feminist. I don't. I am a humanist. I am for men and women, okay? I am for little girls and little boys. I'm for humanity. And so I want you all to benefit from and grab something from whatever whatever you listen to from me. But this is just for men, and this is for all, for men and women. We can all benefit from the practice of celibacy. It's a very, very it makes you look at yourself. Now, what do I mean by healing first? To break this cycle, number one, you have to have awareness. You have to have awareness that there's even a cycle to begin with. And that takes introspection. That takes time, right? That takes energy. That takes vulnerability with the self. That takes vulnerability with the heart, with your mind, with your body, getting in tune. If you believe in God, getting in tune with that spiritual essence, that consciousness, right? Something greater than yourself flowing through you. And that sometimes you need to be in solitude in order to connect, in order to ground, to reground, to recenter, to refocus yourself. How can we as humanity, as individuals, really, in a Western culture, Western world, and if you're in Asia or sub-Saharan Africa, thank you for tuning in. And this is for everyone. Like, how can we do better and be better if we don't have or create the space to listen, just to listen to ourselves, right? To eat a meal alone, to clean our own space alone, to be in the space of aloneness, so that we can realize that alone is all one, and there's all oneness, that we're part of that. To stop seeking and externalizing and projecting, because this is the pattern. We meet new people, there's a high, it's biological, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's karmic, it's cultural, okay? And we make all these energy cords with the person that you're my forever person, you're my one and only. And we emotionally bypass, we spiritually bypass, we mentally, intellectually bypass our mommy daddy issues. They are real. They will keep, all unhealed wounds will continue to pop up in every relationship that you choose to be in, until the lesson is learned, until the wound is healed. And it's almost like this perpetual cycle of healing too. You have to be very careful with this, because sometimes that's a high as well. That's an attachment too. Sometimes people fall in love, right? To fall in love again, to fall in love with themselves, and they fall again, and then they internalize again. It's like this ebb and flow. But a lot of that ebb and flow is imbalanced. It's ungrounded. It's not processed. It's not released, right? You can't receive all of someone because you have all this garbage that you're carrying on, and you're projectile vomiting onto them. We become versions of our mothers and versions of our fathers. We become the best versions of our mothers and fathers, and maybe even the worst sometimes. But they're there. We carry their essence in us. And so when you take the time to conserve your sexual energy, right? Your emotional energy, your psychic energy, your intellectual energy, and I'm yes, there's a religious aspect to this as well if you grew up with that. But truly, truly, it's very important to I was on a train of thought. I'll come back to it. But, it's oh yes, conserving this energy so that you can um develop clarity. Celibacy brings clarity to you. You can hear God. You can hear your inner thoughts. You can differentiate your emotional, instability or emotional stability that you have within yourself. You can discern what's yours, what's not yours. You can heal codependency so that you can become interdependent in the true connection that you have with someone. And again, nothing is guaranteed. I'm saying take a break, right? Work on you first. Ask yourself, when you have made a separation from another person and from your, the one that was betrothed to you and your soulmate, your twin flame, and all of a sudden, oh, now you guys are broken up, you've separated. Ask yourself, what did I bring to the table? What did I not bring to the table? It is a you problem. It is the I, it is the me, it is the self that you have to work on. It starts with you. It doesn't start with the other person. And I know in some of my videos that this might sound contradictory, but I've recently am realizing, oh, this is what a friend of mine mentioned. He said, no, it's you. It's not the other. It has nothing to do with the other person. And that triggered me for a little bit, but I after I sat with it and I'm feeling through it, I'm like, you know what? You're right. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the other person. And I'm not saying you need to belittle or minimize the love and the passion and the hurt and the pain and the suffering and the great experiences that you have with a person. I'm not saying that's the relationship. I'm saying, what we do. We slip into the victimhood. We slip into, they did this to me. Oh, this is happening again, or this always happens, right? We slip into that narrate the narrative. We slip into that storyline. This always happens. They always cheat, or they always hurt me. They always say this. Men always do this. Women always do that. We do this, and I'm just saying with celibacy, you can break free. Now, here's a side note with intentional celibacy and why there's a difference between involuntary celibacy and intentional celibacy. When it's involuntary, you got to really check yourself because you just come off as desperate, right? You have to be there's hurt there. When people complain to me or have complained to me in the past of my life where they're just like, I've been so lonely, I just want a partner, I just want this, and it's like, where's this wanting coming from? Because for me, it's like I'm seeking wholeness within myself. So I'd rather have a whole man or none at all. Broken people will break you. And a broken you can break someone else. I can't even fathom, really. I haven't even put thought into what wrong have I brought to the table? How did I mistreat this person? Or what brokenness did I bring? Did I break this person? And I'm not saying you have to attach yourself to the past and relive every little thing that's happened. But it's good to review during your celibacy season, your celibacy cycle. For those of you that it's more of a cyclical seasonal practice than a long lifelong vow, which there are some people who will go decades. They make that vow and they've left that part behind. There's a much you can do with celibacy to manipulate energy, your energy, It's all about self-mastery, learning your nature again. So that is what I'm saying. Just put you first. Have you ever imagined that once you center someone, once you center a man or center a woman, have you ever thought that over time they decenter you? You become less important to them, or vice versa. Center yourself. That's not selfish. We are constantly sold romantic ideologies, which I'm going to get into. But tell me what you think. Let me know what you feel about this message. And I definitely want to get into celibacy and how it's impacted my life and the benefits of it. So there you go. Take care.